When people say the Ice Age, they often imagine a single frozen moment in time. A world locked in an eternal winter where colossal glaciers carved their way across the continents. But the truth is far more complex and far more fascinating. Our planet's history with ice isn't a single chapter, but an epic saga spanning billions of years. What we call the Ice Age was not one event, but many. Scientists have identified at least 5 major ice ages in Earth's history. These were not short cold snaps. They were immense periods of geological time where glaciers advanced and retreated in cycles. The first, the Huronian, began an astonishing 2.4 billion years ago. It was followed by the Cryogenian, a period so intense it may have encased the entire planet in ice, creating a snowball Earth. Then came the Andean-Saharan and the late Paleozoic ice ages. But the one that captures our imagination, the one filled with mammoths and saber-toothed cats, is the most recent, the Quaternary Ice Age. This is the era that shaped the world we know today, and it began just 2.6 million years ago. It's an ongoing period of alternating cold glacial periods and warmer interglacials, like the one we are living in right now. A common myth places dinosaurs in this icy landscape, battling the cold. But the truth is, the dinosaurs were long gone before the most recent ice age began. The great extinction event that wiped them out occurred over 60 million years earlier. The world of the dinosaurs was, for the most part, a much warmer, more tropical place. They vanished from the Earth, leaving behind only fossilized remains, long before the first great ice sheets of the Quaternary period began their slow, relentless march across the northern hemisphere. So no, the Ice Age did not kill the dinosaurs. Instead, it set the stage for an entirely new cast of incredible creatures. These lands were ruled by giants, animals far larger than almost anything alive today, a group we call the megafauna. In the biting winds and endless snows of the Pleistocene, colossal woolly mammoths, their shaggy coats protecting them from the cold, marched in great herds across the frozen steppe. They were hunted by formidable predators. The saber-toothed cat, Smilodon, with its iconic dagger-like canines, was a master of the ambush. Packs of dire wolves, larger and more robust than their modern relatives, roamed the vast icy plains in search of prey. In the shelter of caves dwelled the enormous cave bear, a creature that could stand over 10 feet tall. And the giants weren't just in the north. The Americas were home to the giant ground sloth, Megatherium, a creature so large it could stand on its hind legs and browse from the tops of trees. Giant beavers, the size of modern bears, built dams in ancient rivers with their massive teeth. And in ancient Australia, a different kind of giant roamed. The Diprotodon, a marsupial the size of a rhinoceros, wandered through the arid landscapes. This was a world of titans, perfectly adapted to a challenging and dynamic environment. But the age of giants wasn't limited to mammals. Even during the Ice Age, giant reptiles survived, and in some cases, thrived, especially in the warmer regions of the globe that escaped the worst of the glaciation. Ancient Australia, while cooler and drier than it is today, was a terrifying kingdom of reptiles. Imagine massive crocodiles, far larger than any living species, lurking in the waterways. Giant venomous snakes slithered through the undergrowth. But the apex predator of this land was a true monster, Megalania. This was a giant monitor lizard, a relative of the Komodo dragon that could grow up to an estimated 23 feet long. It was the largest terrestrial lizard to have ever lived, a fearsome hunter in a land of already impressive megafauna. The Ice Age was not a uniform world of ice and snow. It was a patchwork of diverse ecosystems, each with its own unique and often gigantic inhabitants. And amidst these giants and unforgiving landscapes, our own relatives walked this frozen earth. Species like the Neanderthals were not primitive brutes, but intelligent and resilient survivors. They were powerfully built, adapted for the cold, and masters of their environment. Wrapped in animal skins, they hunted mammoths and woolly rhinos with sophisticated stone-tipped spears. They harnessed the power of fire, not just for warmth but for cooking, for safety, and as a social hub in their cave shelters. They cared for their sick and elderly, and they buried their dead. Neanderthals and other early humans were not just enduring the Ice Age. They were living in it, adapting to its rhythms and challenges. They survived for hundreds of thousands of years in a world far harsher than our own. But ultimately, they would vanish, leaving only our own species, Homo sapiens, to inherit the Earth. The world they walked upon was dramatically different from the one we know today. During the peak of the last glacial period, so much of the planet's water was locked up in massive ice sheets that sea levels were over 400 feet lower than they are today. This didn't just change the coastlines. It redrew the map of the world. Continents were connected by vast bridges of land and ice. North America and Asia were joined by a massive land bridge called Beringia, allowing animals and the first peoples of the Americas to cross. In Southeast Asia, the region of Sundaland connected islands like Sumatra, Java, and Borneo to the mainland. In Europe, Britain was not an island, but a peninsula of the European continent. Its frozen hills roamed by the same creatures found in France and Germany. Japan, too, was connected to the Asian mainland at various points. It was a single, interconnected world, allowing for migrations and movements on a scale that is impossible today. But this world was not destined to last. As the Earth's orbit shifted slightly, the climate began to warm. The great ice sheets that had dominated the northern hemisphere for millennia began to melt and retreat. This change, which marked the end of the Pleistocene epoch and the beginning of our current Holocene epoch, was catastrophic for the megafauna. The world changed too fast. The grasslands and frozen steppes that the great grazers depended on were replaced by forests and shrubs. Their food sources vanished, and their habitats collapsed. At the same time, a new and uniquely intelligent predator was spreading across the globe: modern humans. Armed with new technologies and cooperative hunting strategies, humans became an additional, and perhaps final, pressure on the struggling populations of giants. The combination of rapid climate change and human hunting proved too much. One by one, the great beasts of the Ice Age disappeared forever. We tend to think of this era as ancient history, something impossibly distant, but it was shockingly recent. The last population of woolly mammoths, a dwarf species living on Wrangel Island in the Arctic Ocean, survived until about 4,000 years ago. This means that while the great pharaohs of Egypt were commissioning the construction of the Giza pyramids, mammoths still walked the earth. The Ice Age wasn't just some forgotten prehistoric chapter. Its echoes are all around us, in the landscapes we inhabit, the climate we experience, and the very recent memory of a world ruled by giants. The Ice Age was closer than you think. It was, in the grand scheme of Earth's history, almost yesterday.